Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal. We are live on a Friday evening, which means it is time for us to talk about coping with life. And at this very, very busy time of year, I'm pretty certain we all have our stories around this one. I just wanted to say what a pleasure it is to be here. And I'm hoping that you're all doing really well. For those of you who might be watching for the first time, welcome, and feel free to join in the chat when we start talking about stuff. Just do me one favor, just understand that if you put stuff up in the chat, I can talk to it. So if you want to put something up on the chat and you just want it for the other viewers, other people in the chat to see it, but don't want me to discuss it where it's going to end up on the replay, just at the beginning put "Sal, don't repeat this." We do 3 broadcasts a week, one Friday lunchtime at noon Pacific, where we talk about coping with feelings. We do this one on a Friday evening, which is coping with life. And then we do a third one on a Sunday afternoon, which is coping with stress. Yeah, not that we feel that at all. And I just want to tell you that I did put out a quick questionnaire to ask people what they wanted to do about the broadcasts for next Friday, which of course is Christmas Day. And I think it was 78% of the viewers that responded asked for it to happen on Saturday. So both broadcasts will happen on Saturday, the 26th of December, instead of Friday, the 25th. And I will put up reminders, and please make sure you remind other people. Hi, Jody. Hi, Isabel, and everybody else that is around. Really good to see you, and hopefully we'll have some fun stuff in today's broadcast. Now, before I start, I wanted to show you my absolute joy of the Christmas baking. At last, I did it. I created a cube of chocolate. How about that? And just wait until I bite in. I've been dying to do this so I could bite into it. Are you ready? Got peanut butter inside. So, it's so good. So, and you want to know, how did I do it? And the way I did it, I didn't bring the ice cube thing with me. You know, I've got those small ice cube trays. I literally painted the inside. And then at the bottom and the sides, and then let that sit. And I painted it a few times. And then once I thought I'd got the walls thick enough, I put the peanut butter inside. And by the way, it's all I did. I didn't add anything to the peanut butter, just straight peanut butter. And then we put a layer of chocolate over the top. And I want to tell you, that is so good. As you can probably hear. I'll finish that in a bit. So that is one of my many little ideas for today. I wanted to just give you all, a chance to just understand that this is about your ideas as much as mine. So if you've got your favorite Christmas idea that you'd like to share, then please do that. I saw one thing I wanted to say was, one of the things, you know, I'm a big one about reuse and recycle. I'm getting a lot of bits of paper like this, in with packing list stuff, when the boxes are being delivered to me. And I don't know about you, but I am no longer throwing them out. Why? This side has been printed on, this side hasn't. And what I do is I either use it for scrap printing, I put it in the printer for stuff that, I just want to put a recipe on it or something. That's a really good use of the paper. The other thing I do is I cut it into little squares like this and use them as note paper. So please be aware of just how many bits of paper are coming in to your home that you could actually reuse, and get your family, most people don't do it because it takes time. I just stack up a lot, and about once a week I just cut it up and make a little stack like this. And I actually just fold it like this, and then I trim it here and here, and that's what I do with it. So if anybody else has got a recycling thing that they'd like to share, please let us know so I can discuss it with the viewers. I must say that I am throwing out less and less now. And my feeling is if I have used it twice, you know, in other words, it's been printed on once and I use the other side of it, I think it's okay to throw it out then. But you know me, I will constantly be looking for ways not to have to even throw that out after I've used it a couple of times. So life has its ups and downs, and I'm certain you're all having them at the moment. And so what I'd like to know is, have any of you been aware of your inner voice this week? You know, has your inner voice been trying to tell you something? The reason I ask that is because my inner voice kept bringing up the name of a friend of mine, the acquaintance now, somebody that used to be very close to, but you know, life told me this wasn't a person I needed to have very close to me anymore. And so what I did was this, the name kept coming into my mind. And eventually I thought, okay, there's a reason for this. So I wrote and I said, hey, and I told the truth. I said, I just wanted to say hi and find out if you're okay because your name keeps coming up in my brain. And I want to make sure you're okay. And guess what? They weren't. And so I was so grateful that I listened to my inner voice. And I wondered if any of you, when that sort of thing happens, whether you act upon it or not. Some of you know that I, at lunchtime, was talking about the fact that I've got a situation where a friend of mine has had a brain tumor operation, and I haven't heard whether they survived the operation or what the story is. And I was getting more and more stressed about that. And I tried to be compassionate and not push to get a conversation from anybody. But, you know, I just realized I still don't know if he survived the operation. So what I did between the two broadcasts was I actually put in a phone call and didn't get a response on the other end, but I left a message and said, I just wanted to give you a hug, but here's the thing. I am sure you probably know that I don't even know whether he survived that operation. And I just left it like that. In other words, be aware that I don't even know that. And so that way is like, I've done what I can. Now I will go back to just emailing some hugs every day. But, you know, this was like, I needed to take another step forward because it was really on my mind. I wonder if any of you have got any hacks about, you know, if you happen to bake a little bit early, do you guys know how long you can leave cupcakes and things out before you deliver them? I was doing a little bit of research into that, and apparently they say that it's quite all right to make cupcakes a couple of days ahead, and don't put them in the fridge. Keep them on the counter. They will do much better on the counter. Now, I got to do a bit more research. Probably, if you can, put them in a tin or something that has pretty good seal, or into baggies where they you can keep a lot of the air out. But I thought it was interesting that you can keep them pretty fresh for 2 days before you have to really worry about them. But here's the other thing. If you make them more than 2 days ahead and they start to go a little bit stale, you just put a damp paper towel into the microwave, put your cupcakes on top, and another damp, not sopping wet, just damp paper towel on top, and just give it a bit of a nuke. And you will find that it will then rehydrate the stale part of your muffins or your cupcakes or your cake, whatever it is. And I thought that's a really interesting way to do it. That was one way. I also found a way where it said steam it. In other words, you know, put a saucepan and then put your plate, you know, saucepan with some hot water in it, and then let that sort of start bubbling a little bit, and then turn it down a bit so that the hot water will just keep a little bit of steam coming off it, and then put a plate on top and cover it and let it steam. It actually says once it's boiling, turn off the heat and leave the cake in a pot within that for 10 minutes or so, and the cake will soften. I thought that was interesting. So again, you can do it with cupcakes as well. Now this one, I really have to see because it said you can do it in the microwave. Right, we talked about that, right? Where you can put it upper and low. So we've done that one. And there was, what was the third one? Steam it. Put it back in the oven. Did you know you could put it back in the oven? Take an oven-safe dish and fill it with water. Turn on the oven to a low heat, about 325 Fahrenheit or about 160 centigrade, and allow the water to heat up until the oven is filled with steam. Then place your cake on an oven-safe plate, obviously, into the oven with that steam going around. And they say in about 5 minutes, it'll be fresh again. I don't know about you, but that's pretty good. So anybody else got any other hacks for doing something, doing that? I was saying at lunchtime that I did a really good thing today, which I realized that the temperature is low enough outside now that I've got this extra fridge in my life, and it's called the outdoors. So I'm starting to make things and put them in a cardboard box on my deck so that they can keep cool, but without using up the space in my fridge. And that's where I got the peanut cup from. It's going to be difficult to give those away. Jodie is saying that she always listens to her inner voice. For instance, when my inner voice says, "Don't eat that Christmas cookie, Jodie," I tell it to shush and get on with it. Yeah, exactly. I realized that I had not quality controlled one of these peanut butter cups. And you do realize I'm only doing it to show you that, what the inside looks like. And I'm nearly finished. Now, I understand I could buy them far less work, but I want to tell you, I can't imagine anybody eating these and forgetting them. It's just like, everything about it is so good. So, another thing I had an issue with was I'm forever buying the wrong thing between, I get really confused. I don't know about anybody else. I get really confused between the yams and the sweet potatoes, and which one's the one with the red inside it, the orangey pulp inside it. And, I can't believe that it took me, hi Kimmy, I can't believe it took me this long to get this smart. But today, or rather this week, I decided I would go to Google Images and find a picture of the different sorts of sweet potatoes and yams. And there was one where it said, "Don't confuse them up." And I'm going, I always do. And it showed you what yams look like and what sweet potatoes look like. And now I've got a picture of two of them that have the red inside, the orangey red inside. And I now know what they're called because I just have to go hunt in my picture. And I keep pictures like that into my Google Keep. Anything like that, anything I'm seeing where I'm going, I can't do this for this Christmas, but that would be a really good idea for next Christmas. I am now starting to keep that in a Google Keep note. Anyway, so I thought I'd just mention that's a really good hack. Get a picture of it so you don't have to worry about it. By the way, you know that we're all about helping you cope with life and also helping those that cope with life. So if you have any subjects that you'd like me to talk about, please, please, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com and let me know. And if I think it's something that my regular viewers will enjoy, I will add it to my list. Now, here's a hack that I saw that I thought was really clever. And I definitely am going to be aware of this. You know the little box thing that the foil and the plastic wrap and everything else comes in? Keep it. If you're crafty, keep it. And either paint it and put little cookies or chocolates in it at Christmas time, or wrap it in, with that sticky shelf liner stuff, just wrap it in there, or even just glue wrapping paper around it, or just paint it festive colors. I was showing at lunchtime. Do I still have it here? No. Hang on one second, because I do want to show that, it's possible to make, just hold on a second. When I make my chocolates, I will put once they're made and I'm ready to package them up, I'll put them in individual little plastic containers, but then I will put them inside a repurposed toilet roll. And, it's amazing how just a little bit of paint will just turn that into quite a nice gift. And if you want to put a bit of white ribbon and a bow on it, it makes it look really even better. So that, I think, is something I want you to think about. So those boxes that the foil and the wrap come in, if you are at all handy, I would say as you empty them, paint them and have them ready, especially if you make cookies or if you make chocolates, as I do, individual chocolates. Now, this next thing I saw, I thought it was so great. I actually passed it on to Benji already because I thought it was so clever. How many of you have seen this done? I don't know why I'd never seen this. I thought that was such a great idea for a name. You can use it as a name thing, or if you've got a charcuterie board, with stuff on it, you can just put little labels on it. I thought that was so clever, so simple. And after you've done whatever, people can eat the holder. So, but a cell phone holder, yeah, if you want it for a cell phone holder. But I was thinking more on your, when you're sort of doing things on your table, when we're allowed to have people over again. So I just thought I would share that with you because I thought that was smart. And I just put oh, Sandy will like it too. Sandy, did you see what I just did, Sandy? And obviously I just put a couple of bits of tape around this, but I would do it with a glue gun and do it properly. But I'm just thinking that just really is so simple to do. And, how pretty will it be? I would even think about, you could hang things on your tree like this. How do you like it, Sandy? Sandy's very creative. I thought you guys would like it. That's why as I said, I didn't do it with a glue gun because my glue gun is in storage. But but I just put it together with a bit of tape just so you could see, and I just hand wrote it. Obviously, you could print up nice labels and stuff. I thought that was really smart, and the idea of keeping the foil boxes and stuff like that, I thought was very clever as well. I wanted to check if anybody's come up with any more. I asked at lunchtime, but I'm going to ask again, any more bright ideas about what to do with dryer lint? Because I'm definitely on a mission to find a good use for it. And I've got one but I'm hoping that you guys are busy researching it and seeing what you can come up with. Yeah, I think the mini candy canes would work better. I don't have mini ones. And that's important. So, but thanks for that input. If I'd had the mini ones, I would have put those. I think they'll be more stable. The big ones are a little bit difficult in terms of stability. Now, I was saying, and I want to repeat it because it's important, rethink your disasters in your Christmas baking if you have any. As some of you know, I had a total disaster with some shortbread that just fell apart. It just didn't stay together at all. And I kept all the crumbs. And now when I'm making dessert for myself, if maybe I'm having a bit of yogurt, I will just sprinkle some of those crumbs over my yogurt and then throw some raspberries on top. Or I might have, some stewed apple and just throw a little bit over the top, as a crumble. And I thought, you guys would mention, and what I found with the chocolate bits, I found I had bits of chocolate, where I'd been doing stuff with chocolate. And what I did is I just took my dough knife and I just carefully, bunched it all up and put it in a baggie. And now what I do is I am using those bits of coconut and chocolate and everything else, bits of toffee, keeping it all there, and then just sprinkling those on top of some of the things that I'm making and reusing rather than throwing it away. So I thought I'd mention that. I got a couple of tips about your cars, which, at this time of year, most of my viewers are in the Northern Hemisphere. I do know that Lauren and I have a couple of others sitting in Australia. But, it's just like, I thought I would talk about this. Did you know that you can defog your car just by turning on your air conditioner? That works really well. I also heard something, for those of you who are south of the equator and in summer, I heard that the fastest way to cool down your car is to open up your driver's side window, about this much, and then go to the passenger side door and open and close it about 5 times. And you just don't have to close it completely. Just do this with it about 5 times. It will suck all the air, hot air out of your car. And, I don't know about you, but, that is actually a very simple way of doing it. And of course, if you've got electric windows, you don't even have to go around to the other side. You could just open the passenger side up a bit and then just do it with the driver's side door. But I thought that was a really clever thing to do. I wanted to know, because I've got some very talented people makeup-wise, how do you guys stop your lipstick from bleeding? I think it's going to be, I don't know about you, but I notice it a lot more at Christmas time because of the color. You're inclined to wear, deeper reds and so forth around Christmas time. And I wondered if anybody's got a very easy hack. Now, obviously, if I were in my normal environment, and for those of you who don't know, my house had a fire in it and I won't be able to return there until about April. But obviously, a lip liner helps, yes. But, all my lip liners are gone. And now I'm wondering, because they were in the room that burned. So I'm wondering if there are any other, are there any do-it-yourself hacks? Can you mix something with something and, and it will act as a thing that stops your lips from bleeding? Jody, you're normally my guru on all things makeup. So if you've got any ideas, can you make a paste of something and then just use that and it will stop it? I'm pretty certain somebody's got an idea. And even if we don't come up with it during the broadcast, if somebody happens to hear this after the broadcast, please leave a note in the comments below so that we can all share in that. Because to me, it's, yeah, and Jody's saying, a lip liner is her go-to as well. Yeah, and Sandy's saying maybe a little bit of powder or maybe a little bit of foundation on the lips. And that's what I've been doing, is actually putting foundation on my lips and then dusting them with my facial powder, my finishing powder, before I put the lipstick on. Yeah, I've got a feeling, the reason I'm thinking that there must be an easy hack is because, we've been wearing lipstick for many centuries. And I'm pretty sure that they came up with quite an easy way of doing it way before they came up with lip liner. And so I just thought I'd ask today because you guys are so smart. Again, I just want to remind you that over Christmas, and in fact, I would say now for the next couple of weeks, the price of food will either be incredibly good or very difficult, depending on what you're trying to buy. Now, Jody is saving money because she found a really good deal on beef. And I think it was a standing rib or something. She found an incredibly good deal on. And so just by letting go of having turkey, and she's going to have an absolutely incredible piece of beef and saving a huge amount of money. So try and think outside the box, and especially as it's not the normal Christmas. If you love porterhouse steak, maybe think about having, porterhouse steak for Christmas. In other words, treat yourself, but don't think that it has to be turkey. I've wondered whether any of you have bought yourself any extra Christmas presents this year, because you're not going to be doing as much giving outside the house. Oh, Sandy is asking me, on the topic of cars, am I still having to charge my battery? Touching wood, I think I have the answer to it. I've got to draw it for you, Sandy. And then I will tell you, just remind me to tell you my experience here. But here's what was happening. I was fine. I was fine when I was working. Why? I was going from my home and I was driving to work, every day. And that was a 20-minute ride there and a 20-minute ride back, enough to charge up a battery. Okay. What happened was I retired. And when I retired, my big ride was to go from here to the shops, which were literally 5 minutes away. So I'm charging up my dirty great Jeep and then driving just 5 minutes. I go shopping, come around, come back. Now I've charged, and when I say charged up, I turned on the Jeep. Now the Jeep takes a lot of voltage, right? So just the fact that I was only going for 5 minutes there and 5 minutes back was not enough time. So what was happening, Sandy, technically, was I'd have a full battery and then I'd go on one of those short trips and it would just drop a little bit. But, over the months, I kept doing that and my battery didn't get a chance to recharge up again. Does that make sense? Because every time I was doing these short trips instead of a decent one. So 2 things that I've learned. Number 1 is at least once a week, I take a trip that is 20 minutes each way. And it's easy now that I'm here because I do that to go back to my house and go shopping in my pantry. So it's 20 minutes there and then 20 minutes back again, which means that I'm topping up the battery each time fairly well. I try and do it actually twice a week to make sure that that I've got that going. But the only time my battery failed me, Sandy, whilst I've been here, was the time I accidentally left the inside light on, and we've all had that trouble. Okay, so that, you see, Sandy's saying, I'm asking because ours is now shot and we have to run it daily or it dies. take it out and go for a drive for at least an hour. Tell hubby, you know, or the two of you go out and take a nice drive into the country somewhere and really enjoy it, you know, at least once a week. And maybe you go out, pick up some, you know, I'm thinking poutine or something, and go sit and watch the ocean for a while. Well, not the ocean, but go sit and watch whatever you can see from wherever you are, you know, the lake or whatever, and then drive back again. And so that's a good thing. Now, Kimmy's saying that she bought a doorbell at a good price, and it came with an Echo Dot. Now, I want to tell you, I also bought that. I have to tell you, got really upset with the doorbell. I am hard of hearing, and the doorbell was so low that you couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it. And so then I spent the extra money to get a relay thing that was meant to make it that much louder. And I want to tell you, I didn't like that either. And I stopped having that doorbell. I changed my doorbell. Yeah. So just make sure that you drive that car at least 30 minutes each way, at least once a week. It's because you're in a pandemic now. You're not going out as much, right? And you can see now that my experience hopefully will help you. But touching wood, I have not had the problem since I've been doing that. I bought myself two special things, and it wasn't because they were on a cheap thing. I bought two things because I wanted them for Christmas. Number one is somewhere in all that storage is my perfume. And one of the things I noticed over 3 months of being away from my normal life, I really miss wearing good perfume. It's not that I necessarily wear it every day. It's just there's something about wearing my perfume that makes me feel better. Do any of you relate to that? And I was talking at lunchtime a lot about, you know, protecting your mental health at this time. And I decided that was part of my get dressed routine, you know, and to feel good about myself was to put on my good perfume. So I ordered myself up a bottle of good perfume. And then the other thing was that I bought this sort of standby watch because I needed to know stuff that I was doing. I bought myself another Fitbit, but I did not buy the same one that I had before. I bought a step down just because I really liked the reporting system on a Fitbit. But so I'm hoping, and I managed to get it for under $100. So that was a present to myself as well. So I'm looking forward to, I should get those by next week. So that's awesome. I think I should get it before Christmas. So that's awesome. And that will allow me to gift this one, which is, you know, something I would like to be able to do. Now, I wanted to ask you all, how do you store your how do you store your Christmas wrapping paper? That was my first question. And then the second one was your ornaments. I'm just writing this down because I want to remember. And then I want to add a third one after I've got your ideas on that. So how do you all store your Christmas wrapping paper? Obviously, or I'm trying to use less and less. I don't know about you guys. I'm actually trying to use less and less wrapping paper. I'm trying to buy things where I know people will put them in really nice quality bags, so I know people won't throw them away and they will probably reuse them the following year. So let's see what we've got here. All right, so Yes, Kimmy's saying about the doorbell app that you need to go into the app and turn the doorbell app up. I did that and it still didn't help me. But I'm hoping that your ears are better than mine. Sharon said hi Sharon. Sharon said that I've had 3 phone calls since the broadcast started. I wish people would leave me alone. Yes. But you know, Sharon, think of it this way. If you are old enough to remember the old days of AOL, remember when somebody phoning you would cut you off the internet. You see, be grateful that we have what we have. Hi, Sarah. Sarah's saying, watch Judy's video. She put the paper in a bag organizer. Yes, I found as well that if you've got a coat, you know, one of those coat. You know, the plastic bag you can hang a coat in. That's a really good thing to keep wrapping paper in. I also have all my extra wrapping paper in one of those things that slides under the bed. I can't slide it under my bed because I've got an electronic bag. So, you know, it's like that's, you know, it really works well. You can amazing. But I found even, you know, if you go and get a storage box that they would have for, you know, when you're moving, they have those taller storage boxes, really useful for keeping them in. And so to me, it's about, you know, first of all, try not to do that. Yes, Sharon's saying, I have a plastic tote made for wrapping paper. Well, there you go. So, but I find storing them vertically is better than horizontally for me. Yes, Sharon's saying, I only buy at the end of the season on clearance if I need some. Great way to do it. Wait, you know, I buy a lot of things like that. I will buy clothes, summer clothes at the end of the season for the following one. Ones that I know, you know, I'm always going to need tank tops. I'm always going to need shorts. I'm always going to, but I wait, Sharon, the same way. I wait until the end of the season and then I pick them up. But I have found that now that we do so much shopping online, you know, it's like you can basically get deals all the time if you bother to look. Hi, Benj. Yes, Halloween candy. What Halloween candy, Benj? Some of us don't have any left. Some of us haven't had any left since the day after Halloween. You know, November 1st, it was gone. So what I wanted to find out was, I was just showing them, Benj, that idea about, you know, that I sent to you, because I really do think that's such a cute idea. At Christmas time. Yeah. And definitely, whoops, a nice idea for, okay. I needed to stretch a long way to catch that. But even for named things, and you know, we can't do it this year, but great idea for next year. But the mini ones would definitely be easier. There's no doubt about that. These big ones are a little bit cumbersome. So Sharon's saying that her family calls her the clearance queen. I think that's called smart. I really do. I think if you have but the other trick is, Sharon, that you obviously make sure that you have money available to do that. And you know what I'm saying? A lot of people wouldn't think to save money, especially for buying on the clearance sales after Christmas. And that is a great way to save money. What I miss is one of my greatest joys around Christmas is making beautiful bows for people. And I you know, that's all in storage. You know, I'm not going to be able to get to that this year. But, you know, it's just like, so be it. I will make them next year. And hopefully we will be able to get together with people next year. I bought my Christmas tree after Christmas. Obviously not a new one, but you know, the thing that I did, and some of you have seen it, What I did was I bought a Christmas tree. You know, if this is your Christmas tree. I bought a Christmas tree that is only the front half of one. So you could put it right against a wall, but the optical illusion is when you load it all up with all the ornaments and everything, you don't realize that it's only half a tree. And I want to tell you I bought that after Christmas, probably about 10 years ago, and I got it at nearly half price. And I want to say it takes up far less room. Mind you, you've got far less room under it as well, just for those of you with big families. All right, so now then. All right, so Sharon's saying this year we bought $200 worth of toys for just $40. Great, well done. And, you know, I think, interesting point from Kimmy. Kimmy is saying packing materials are really scarce this year. Yes. My question is, do you keep packing materials? I am, you know, I'm a hoarder at the best of times, but, you know, I keep a lot of the packing material that comes in the Amazon boxes for, you know, that sort of thing. I don't, you know, like keep a bag of it so that you can reuse it. And, you know, I think the fact that we have all that paper and all that, you know, popping stuff, bubble wrap, and we only ever use it once is sad. Store the ornaments in egg cartons. Now, Kimmy, guess what I did this year? I did an experiment. I cooked some little treats, some coconut treats, and I put them in egg cartons and then froze them. So what I will do is I will bring them out the day before I want to give them away and let them, you know, just come to room temperature again. But and I will let you know how it worked. But I thought, what a great idea, because it's, you know, it's a nice way to protect them in an egg carton, and it's easy to do. Does that make sense? I mean, other than the fact that I've now got stuff out on my deck here to keep cool because I don't want it in the fridge. But, you know, the main thing is it's about, we're only, just a week away. So, you know, we need to start doing stuff quite seriously now. So think about that. Egg cartons to keep your Christmas baking in. So, how many of you, when the snows start, or, you know, I know some of you already had a foot of it, put something over your windshield so that it's easy to clean it in the morning? Kez is saying, I've seen YouTube thrifter find all sorts of great Christmas items from the thrift stores and presents, and some still in packages. Yes, get creative. If you're short of funds, it's amazing. And I would say that it's still going to be relevant for next year, because the stores will be hurting so much from the pandemic that they will probably do even deeper cuts after Christmas. The stuff that they thought they were going to sell but haven't been able to. I think that people will have spent far less on Christmas this year or spent it elsewhere. And so from that perspective, I think the ability to be able to get a really good deal this year will be excellent. So think about that. What I heard was, obviously you can put a piece of cardboard over your windshield or a piece of plastic, but it needs to be pretty thick plastic. But that saves, you know, your windshield wipers getting stuck onto the glass and everything else. The other thing I thought was quite clever was to keep a couple of sort of Safeway bags in the car, specifically to just tie them onto your rear, your side mirrors. So you don't have to clean those off every morning. You just untie them and they're done. So I thought that would be quite a nice idea. Now, I am imagining what my house would have looked like this Christmas had I not had the fire. As some of you heard at lunchtime, I had some devastating news about the fact about my roof and things this week, and it's going to cost me. As I was pretty sure something would happen. They would find something that needed to be replaced when they did this, and they did. And so one of the things I was thinking about was, what would I have done in terms of Christmas in the new house had it not been singed so well? And one of the things I really like the look of is when you sort of hang a piece of ribbon with a small wreath over your kitchen cabinets. Have any of you done that? And I just think it looks so pretty. And so please remind me next year to do that, so that when we do the broadcast, we'll be able to have those pictures from the kitchen, but we'll have decorations on the kitchen cabinets. Or maybe get a command hook and just, put a couple of ornaments or something on your kitchen cabinets just to make them festive. Now, I also heard, anybody got a good idea or a good hack to defrost your lock? A lot of people have that problem where they go to get in the car and the lock is frozen. I had that problem last year. So I know some people say that if you take your hairdryer out and if you've got a long extension cord and just use your hair dryer, which I think is a very clever idea. But I heard, because we've got so much hand sanitizer, for some reason, hand sanitizer works really well. Sharon saying someone should write that down because I will not remember the cabinet door wreath. And you would like to, Sharon? Because you see, when you make you see, Jody wrote it down. That's what we have Jody for. Thank you, Jody. And when would you like to be reminded, Sharon? Because we'll put it in, the beginning of December or something for everybody next year. We'll put it into the system. No, we'll add it to the broadcast, Jody. I think, it'd be a really good idea. November's good. Okay. You guys decorate early, I must say. But, it's really pretty. And I actually had a picture. Hold on a second. Let me do it the new school way, because I just thought it looked so pretty. And I want to show you the difference, sort of without it and with it. Let me just take a picture. Okay. Now get the picture up. Don't you think that's cute? Now, obviously, they painted them as well. But I was thinking, hi, Pierre, good to see you. You love the hair, all of it. Thank you. What is it you love about it? The fact it's such a mess? Yeah, I saw that. It's funny, Sharon, because I see things and I go, I got a feeling my viewers will like that. Why? It's simple to do and it is classy, and I know you guys like that sort of thing. You're saying food-themed gingerbread people house. Fun memories. Life is about memories, not things. I can still remember making gingerbread houses with the girls down at Benji's and not knowing that you weren't allowed to lick your fingers. All my life, I've worked with icing and chocolate, And I could just remember I was sitting there and doing it, and then, a bit of icing on there, and yep, and then a bit of icing on there, and yeah. And then I can remember Judy, Judy has this wonderful way, and she goes, Mama Sal? And I went, yes, honey. And she said, we don't lick our fingers when we're making gingerbread houses. I felt like a 3-year-old, I felt about this big, and I went, I am so sorry. How many of you can imagine? And then, but to stop doing it is, when you've done it all your life, it is so difficult not to do it. And, everybody had a wet face cloth where you wiped your hands on a face cloth. And I'm going, yeah, that would be a better way. No wonder I'm pre-diabetic, right? But, what I love is the fact that, the girls just crack up when I have these problems, which I regularly do. And I think, I'm missing that so much this year, but never mind, let's move on. If you have cloth seats in your car, I read a hack that's really easy and cheap. If you want to clean them, make a paste with a little bit of Arm & Hammer type, washing soda, and some dish soap, and a little bit of water, and then just rub it on and let it dry, and then just brush it off. And you will be amazed how that actually cleans it up beautifully. Or put it on and then rub it off with a clean towel or something. And that will clean it up really nicely. Now, I found something really interesting. One of the things that I think I told you guys last year that I bought my glucose testing on Wish rather than in Canada. And the reason was because I could buy the monitor. You have to know how to do it because this monitor speaks Chinese. I bought the monitor, the strips, and the pokey things, and the lancets, and the pen, all for $25, including this cover thing. So that to me was a pretty good deal. And I've been explaining to people that this is now the local one. To get the strips for this one here in Canada cost me nearly $100, just for the strips. Never mind the lancets, never mind the machine or anything else. So I had to buy this in an emergency when the fire happened. So I obviously got the one that cost a lot of money, and I had the insurance pay for it. But I just want to remind you that if you can afford to get something shipped in on Wish, you're going to save a lot of money. How much money? I've just seen that Amazon has this now available. And on Amazon, it's charging $100 for this. And I got it for $25. Think about that. So if you're short of money, the same as we were saying, save a bit of money for after Christmas so you can buy stuff that will be very well discounted, if you possibly can. If you can't, don't worry about it. But if you can, do it. And also, I am a great believer in window shopping. I window shop all month on Amazon or whatever. But before I buy, I will go to Wish and see, do they also have it in Wish? In which case I might buy it this time on Amazon, but next time I'm going to order it now, ready for when it runs out, I can get it on Wish for a quarter of the price. Now, this is another interesting thing I heard. If you want to get the bugs off your headlights and things, apparently take a dryer sheet and wet it, and it will take bugs off your headlights very, very quickly. Has anybody tried that? So there are a lot more uses for dryer sheets. We know that they're great for cleaning burnt on stuff on pans. Just put the put some water in that pan that you've got some crusty stuff on it, and drop a dryer sheet in there and leave it there for about half an hour, and that the crud will come right off. So that's a really good idea. Yes, Jodie's saying it pays to shop around if you're able to. And that is, I think we will all be doing a lot better because money is going to be very tight for the next few years. I don't think it'll just be this year. I think, we're going to have this problem for quite a few years, maybe for the rest of my lifetime, quite honestly. Right, how about this one for a thought? Don't compare your struggles to anybody else's. And don't get discouraged by the success of other people. I really encourage you all to take your own single steps forward on whatever it is that you want to achieve and how you want to do it. As you will know, I found that just moving into a smaller place, as I thought two things would happen, and that's why I didn't buy an apartment when I moved. Number one, I was aware that it was going to have an impact on my mental health. And secondly, it was going to have an impact on the amount of steps I did in a day. And to give you some sort of idea how much of an impact it has had, I was averaging about 5,000 steps a day when I was in my house before it got singed. I have to work hard to get 3,000 steps in now, and I have to do that by using my Wii Fit or whatever. I think I hit 5,000 one day this week. So what I want you to think about, and I said this at lunchtime, it's going to be very important, especially over the winter, to keep aware of your mental health, keep aware of your need for fresh air, keep aware of constantly using your creativity. Don't sit around feeling sorry for yourself. That is not going to help you. If it's time to repaint a room this winter, go buy the can of paint for $30 and then spend the winter repainting a room. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do things that bring you achievement, because achievement releases endorphins, and endorphins make you feel good. So every day when I do my Wii Fit for 30 minutes, I finish it and I go, yay. And actually, after I've done 30 minutes, it actually does a big hurrah thing for me and says, you've done 30 minutes. I'm going, yay. And build it into your routine. I cannot stress this enough. It is really, really important for everybody to watch out for their mental health. And I'm going to be talking more and more about this over the broadcast, because I think as the winter draws on, it's going to be more and more important. And what I've said is we at DearMamaSal will do our best to support one another. Now, we all know as well that we've got people within our extended family of DearMamaSal people that are sick with, we've got people with cancer, Baba, for example. We've got, Jody let me know that for those of you who go back to the days of Boston Paul, he's been in hospital. So we're going to have a lot more of those sort of things. I, as you know, have got that going on in my life at the moment as well, where I got somebody. And so, it's, and I've had a number of deaths that I heard about in the last couple of weeks. And so it's been a very difficult time. And so what I want to make sure is that we keep talking about it, because if we keep talking about it, we'll be able to get through it. But if you stuff it down, it is going to be, it's going to be much more difficult. Kimmy's saying, I heard that if you take fingernail paint remover, acetone, on your headlights, yeah, I would think that would work. That's pretty chemically intense, though, I would think. It's just a dryer sheet. I thought would be a lot easier, but yes, I don't think I'd want to. I think I want to know what sort of plastic they used on my headlights before I used acetone on it, though. Maybe I test it a little bit on the side before I put it over the whole of my headlight. Because that stuff's, if it eats its way through nail polish, it probably can eat its way through a lot of other things as well. But thank you for adding it. We say every week that coping means that we need to invest our time and our conscious effort to solve personal and interpersonal problems, and to try and master, minimize, and tolerate the stress and conflict. So my question is, how many of you consciously invested extra time in you this week? How many of you can see that this is going to be really important? And I've got somebody above me or behind me with an electric drill. I'm not used to that noise when I'm doing a broadcast. I'll get over it. Did anybody come up with any other, I'm showing you the difference between buying my diabetic testing stuff online and waiting a couple of months to get it. But I wonder if anybody else has come up with any money-saving tips this week that we could share with anybody. In the meantime, Jody's saying nail polish remover will permanently cloud any type of plastic headlight. Please be careful. Thank you, Jody. I had a feeling that that is what would happen. That's why I started to talk about it, to give you time to have a look. That would be, I definitely would suggest that using a dryer sheet would be safer. But I'm waiting for them to, and it's going to happen, I'm sure, to chemically come up with something that you can just spray over the hood of your car and over the top of it and over your windows. And that means that the ice will not stick to it. And when you get up in the morning, there'll be no ice on your car. It is time. Oh, by the way, for those of you who were in the lunchtime broadcast, and I was saying that they will be, the technology will be there for us to be able to do the diabetic A1C type test at home, and we found out it was already here. Yay. I found out that in Canada that test cost $80 for 2 tests. You get a kit and it's good for 2 tests. And I'm going, I think I'll do it for free. I'll actually do it the normal way and get it for free, because we don't pay for that extra in Canada. We just go to the lab and have it done. It's part of the part of our healthcare system. So that's a good way for me to save $80, right? As I said, if you have a topic that you'd like me to talk about, please contact me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. Or if you need a bit of extra help, I'm pretty good about answering people's emails. So if for any reason you write to me and you haven't got an answer, it means that I missed it. So please write again. And I love that I sort of repeat this quote a lot, but we grow because we struggle and we learn to overcome. And I think that's really important, that we remember that all these struggles that we're going through are going to teach us so many good things if we want to learn them. I thought it was time for us to perhaps start getting a few quotes in about Christmas. And I love this. It said, Christmas isn't a season, it's a feeling. And then, it was part of me when I read that quote and went, yeah, it's a feeding too. It may be a feeling, but it's a feeding. I'm having real challenges with licorice all sorts that I bought for other people. And so tonight, before I go to bed, I am packing up those licorice all sorts, the 1/3 that's left of the initial amount that I had, and putting them away so that I don't eat the last bag. Yeah, Kim is saying, good to know that, Jody. I was thinking it would eat the plastic. That was my concern as well. And the answer is yes, it does a little bit. So it was just like, I saw this thing and it said Christmas has been cancelled. You told Santa that you had been good all year and he died laughing. um, How many of you agree with this one? I wish that we could put some Christmas spirit in jars and open up a jar every month. What do you think? How many of you would like that? Good night, Benj. Yes, best stories in life always have struggle, challenge, and difficulties in them. Yes, that's what makes a story interesting. I quite agree. And that's why I think we will earn, or all of us, learn so much through this pandemic. We've learned already to deal with, survive with a lot less and to, be more grateful for what we have. Thanks for popping in, honey. And let me know when I can open my presents. I'm watching them. I haven't touched them. How about this? The true Christmas spirit is putting others' happiness before your own and finding you have never known such happiness. All right? It's all about how much joy can you give to others. And how about this one, that living a stress-free life doesn't come from a perfect experience because there is no such thing as a perfect life. Rather, it's a reward of a frequent positive interpretations of our ordeals. All right, so don't expect life to be easy. I've said at lunchtime that it's going to get progressively more difficult, I think, in the next 3 months, 3 to 6 months. Because the death rate will continue. When you hear that in California already, they are at 0 ICU beds available, 0. And again, we're going to say this every broadcast, please remember that once you've had the vaccine, it doesn't mean that you're immune. It doesn't mean that you won't get COVID. The vaccine will hopefully stop you from dying from it. It won't stop you getting it and getting good and sick, but it may stop you from dying from it. That is very important. So if you hear anybody say, oh, well, I don't need to wear a mask anymore because I've had the vaccine, or I don't need to socially distance anymore because I've had the vaccine. No, you can still get it. You can still spread it. Right? The vaccine doesn't cure COVID. What it does is it stops you dying from it. And hopefully to the large part. And as well, as I said at lunchtime, and I will continue to repeat this, expect some people to have negative reactions to the vaccine. Why? Because some people will be allergic to some of the stuff that's in it to some degree, and they might not even know it. How about this one? Unless we make Christmas an occasion to share our blessings, all the snow in Alaska won't make it white. I think that's so cute. And Kimmy is suggesting that on the cleaning your headlights, saying toothpaste works. And that's a good idea. And Jody's saying toothpaste can work to restore headlights that are slightly foggy. So that's a good one to know. Anybody else got any, winter hacks for their cars? Please let us know. As I said, if you are not going out much in your car, please make sure that you do at least one drive a week that is about an hour. Even if it's half an hour there and then you stop and then, do something and then come back for half an hour. Otherwise, you're going to have Sal's problem with dying batteries. And how about this? May your Christmas be blessed and beautiful in every sense. Wishing you a Merry Christmas. What will make a Merry Christmas when we can't, socialize with the people that we would normally choose to? It'll be our attitude. We can still have a Merry Christmas if we choose to, or we can have the worst Christmas of our lives. if we choose to. I personally intend to be very grateful for the fact that I'm alive this Christmas. That is really important to me, that I'm still alive. I am going to be thankful for all the friends that, I can talk to, because living alone, I don't have that daily interaction. Pia's saying, yes, in Sydney, the COVID cases are going up. It was 17 yesterday, and now it's 30 cases in the northern beaches. Yes, I heard about that. Now the northern beaches are on lockdown and our borders are closed again. Yeah, I want to tell you, we were doing really well in Canada. I think we had 400 and something in my area, recently, 400 and something. And so that's really, it's getting pretty bad here because it's winter. But, to hear that in Australia, where it's summer now, they're having that sort of an outbreak, that's really scary. Has the vaccine got to you yet, Pia? Have you guys got the vaccine yet? Has it started to roll out? I was hearing on the news today, and I'm certain other people heard it as well, that, people are not going to get the number of vaccines they thought they were going to get. It's getting worse everywhere, Kimmy. All right? Kimmy's saying that it's getting worse in Utah and Wyoming. It's getting worse everywhere. It's because it's winter. Pia's saying, think about this, the vaccine will only be available to them in March. Wow. Will the first responders get it before March? Yeah, and they're saying it'll be the same for other countries in Asia, and also like the Philippines will only be available in March. Okay, so think about that, how lucky we are to get it earlier. But even if it's available in March, it won't be available to everybody. It will only be available first to your first responders, and then, it'll trickle down depending on importance. And Kimmy's saying that she's scared to do the vaccine after the reaction she had from the shingles one. Well, are you, the point you have to look at is, how sick were you from the shingles one? And, maybe you mention that before you go and have the vaccine, maybe you talk to your medical provider and say, is there anything in that new vaccine that is also in the shingles one, because I had a very bad reaction to the shingles one. I think you were quite sick, weren't you? And so, but this happens in every vaccine, some people are going to react. Not everybody, and very few react, but every vaccine there is, some people will react. So I would just talk it through with my medical professional. How about this one? He or she who has not have Christmas in his heart will never find it under the tree. Isn't that true? If you haven't got Christmas spirit, and I say to my friends, don't worry about, getting, don't worry about getting something to me on Christmas Day. This is like, Christmas is when we choose to do it. And Christmas religiously is on Christmas Day. We get that. But, in terms of being able to get a gift to somebody or whatever, don't stress yourself out. Just let them know it's ready. And, it may be late this year because you'll have to work a way where you can deliver it to them safely. You might not be able to give them a hug, but you can probably drop it on their doorstep, when they're going to be there, so it'll be safe. How about this one? We are better throughout the year for having in spirit become a child again at Christmas. How many of you love that part about Christmas where, you get that childlike glow about you? Yes, and Kez is saying, the words Christmas spirit reminded her of Scrooge. Yeah. So how about this? Rejoice, rejoice, rejoice in the birth of the Lord. For unto us a child is given this night to bring peace and love to all mankind. See, that's what we need to concentrate on. For the next couple of weeks, let us do our best to concentrate on bringing peace and love to all mankind as far as we can. Because that's the Christ within us that I believe we all, our responsibility is to do what we can to create that. Now, I found a few really funny ones about Christmas, so bear with me here. Andy Borovitz said, was Christmas a baby shower that went totally overboard? Please don't think me blasphemous in that. It's just like, I just thought that was so cute. And then Victor Borger, who I absolutely adore, or did, said, Santa Claus has the right idea. Visit people only once a year. And I'm certain you've got people in your family that are going, once a year is more than enough. Once again, we come to the holiday season, a deeply religious time that each of us observes in their own way by going to the mall of their choice. And how about this? There are some people who want to throw their arms around you simply because it's Christmas. And there are people who want to strangle you simply because it's Christmas. I often wonder whether the American Thanksgiving is to lessen the amount of stress ready for Christmas. How many of you relate to this one? I get a little behind during Lent, but then it becomes really serious coming up to Christmas. Keep your friends close, your enemies closer, and receipts for all major purchases. It's a good bit of advice, isn't it? Do any of you relate to this? I haven't taken my Christmas lights down. They look so nice on the pumpkin. Do any of you keep your Christmas lights up all year? And it was said that this Christmas season, no matter what your religion is, please take a moment to reflect on why it's better than all the other ones. Sandy keeps the Christmas lights up all year. That's good. Les Dawson Jr. said, my mother-in-law comes around our house at Christmas 7 years running. This year we're having a change. We're going to let her in. John Leo said, the principal advantage of non-parental lifestyle is that on Christmas Eve, you need not be struck dumb by the 3 most terrifying words that the government allows to be printed on any product. Some assembly required. Any of you got any horror stories about realizing on Christmas Eve that the present you brought for the children needed to be put together? And so and how about this one? Ken Hubbard said that nothing is as mean as giving a little child something useful for Christmas. Yeah, no. Sandy's saying that they brought the children a very large dollhouse. How long did it take to assemble it? Oh, yes, and that's the other one. Yes, Jody, you're right. The other one that you don't want to read is batteries not included, right? Yeah, don't forget to everybody, yeah, heads up, make sure you got extra batteries. And by the way, even if you don't have children, good time to buy batteries. I always buy my batteries at Christmas time in bulk. You know, I will buy a big pack at Christmas time for myself because it's the best time to buy them. And if you can get out to go actually to somewhere like Home Depot and get a big pack, you get a really good deal on about 24 at a time. And you can get them for the same price as you pay for 3 or 4. Yeah, it sounds like Kim's had a really rough time with that shingles vaccine. She said she had headache, chills, pain in her intestines, very tired, and a slight case of the shingles. And also some dizziness, you know. But again, I wonder, Kim, how much of that is because of the other medication you're taking? You know what I mean? You've got a lot of other underlying conditions that maybe contributed to that. But well done for getting the vaccine, you know. And I would definitely have a discussion with your medical provider to talk about the reaction you had and what may have caused it, because, you know, now you're a little bit concerned about getting the COVID one. The whole thing is you don't have to have the vaccine if you don't mind dying. And, you know, if you do take the vaccine, there is a possibility that you could be under the weather for a little while. But remember, the reason for that is so that your body builds the antibodies that will stop you dying from it. That's, you know, I think it's called, yeah, be aware. Sandy's saying they were still young with the giant doll's house. They were still young and didn't venture all over the house, so we were able to hide it in an obvious place covered with a sheet. I bet you were so excited, Sandy. You know, I bet you that's a memory every Christmas that you remember that doll's house. You started about 10 at night and we were up until 3 or 4 in the morning then. That is parenting with bells on. How about that? It is said that what I like about Christmas is that you can make people forget the past with the present. Somebody said that I hate the radio at this time of the year because they play All I Want for Christmas Is You, like every other song. It's just not enough. Irma Bombeck said adults can take a simple holiday for children and mess it up. What began as a presentation of simple gifts to delight and surprise children around the Christmas tree has culminated in a woman unwrapping 6 shrimp forks from her dog, who drew her name. Where do I find that really funny? Okay, so here we go. The worst gift is fruitcake. There is only one fruitcake in the entire world, and people keep sending it to one another. Johnny Carson said that. Pia said, I had shingles at 25 and only got the antibiotics for it to recover. And it scabbed. It also took 3 months to recover from the scarring, and the doctor was shocked because I was too young to have shingles. Yes. So again, you get a choice, you know, be sick for a week maybe, or, you know, spend 3 months at it. So thanks for adding that, Pia. I'm certain that will give a little bit more perspective for poor Kimmy. How about this one? A lovely thing about Christmas is that it's compulsory, like a thunderstorm, and we all go through it together. Now, I want to know how many of you have said yet again, next year I'm going to start earlier. Yeah, Jody is saying, Sal, your fruitcake will be there next week. The one you sent me 3 years ago. Yeah, and this is the whole thing, isn't it? You know that is not true because, if I had fruitcake in the house, I would eat it. And Pia's saying, fruitcakes are like bricks. And Henny Youngman said, I love Christmas. I receive a lot of wonderful gifts I can't wait to exchange. Yeah, you see, Sandy says her husband would eat the fruitcake as well. There's something about a thin slice of fruitcake that I actually think is great. Mind you, I would finish it. Jerry Seinfeld said, that's the true spirit of Christmas. People helped by people other than me. Lenora Hershey said, do give books, religious or otherwise, for Christmas. They are never fattening, they are seldom sinful and permanently personal. How many of you still give books to people? Oh, Pia's asking, do I believe in regifting a gift or not? I actually, amongst my really good friends, the reason that I like to, what I always say is, let's exchange gifts after Christmas, after you've decided what you don't want. Because to me, it's not about the gift. Isn't it funny? I don't know if any of you agree with me. I just love opening them. I don't really mind what it is. And I don't mind if it's pathetic. I actually, when I go shopping for Yvonne, I've always, spent a lot of my time at the dollar store and get really creative about things in the dollar store. Because what I want is have a lot of presents for her to open, not that they are, wonderful presents, but it's amazing what you can find if you really dig through. And, the other thing is with Yvonne, it's also her birthday. She was born on Christmas Day. So, it's always a double whammy that I try and buy her a gift sometime other in some other time of the year because of that. So, yeah, to me, it's not the gift, it's the thought, the fact that you actually thought about me and wrapped something up. And, that, and the other thing is that all my friends know that this year I will not be shopping because I don't want to stay away from the stores, but I will be, baking. So expect to get baked the goods. And, I don't mind if you eat them or not. It's just that I bothered to make them. And how about this being truthful? Larry Wilde said, never worry about the size of your Christmas tree because in the eyes of children, they are all 30 foot tall. Isn't that true? And, if you think about it, can you think back to Christmas trees when you were a kid? And I automatically look up because if you think about it, that is so true, isn't it? Christmas trees are always taller than the size of the child. Until they get to be teens or something, but they always need to look up at a Christmas tree. That touches my heart. I love that. And this one from Anne Bristow said, for Christmas this year, let's start with less. Let's start with less attitude. There is more than enough of that in the world as it is, and people will usually just give it back anyway. Oh, isn't this cute? Shirley Temple said, I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was 6. Hang on, people. Oops. Anyway, she said, I stopped believing in Santa Claus when I was 6. My mother took me to see him in a department store and he asked for my autograph. Shirley Temple's autograph. Can you imagine that? Because she was already a superstar by then. And somebody wrote, aren't we forgetting the true meaning of Christmas? I mean, it's the birth of Santa, right? And Carol Nelson said, Christmas is the time when you get homesick, even when you're at home. And I think, it's going to be very difficult. And I'm thinking about Jody, Lionel, and people who have lost family members this year. I think this will be a pretty difficult Christmas for them as well. But, be aware. And then Tom Armstrong said, let me see if I got the Santa business straight. You said he wears a beard and has no discernible source of income and flies to cities all over the world under the cover of darkness. Are you sure the guy isn't laundering illegal drug money? I like that. And Arlo Guthrie said, Santa Claus wears a red suit, so he must be a communist, and a beard and long hair, must be a pacifist. And what's in that pipe that he's smoking? And Richard Lamb said, Christmas is a time when the kids tell Santa what they want and the adults pay for it. Deficit are when adults tell the government what they want and the kids pay for it. I wanted to say that one of the discussions I had with Marnie last night when I was talking to her was just how long will it take? Because people, keep saying, is there going to be more stimulus money and and all the rest of it? And my question was, who's paying for all of this? And the answer will be your great-grandchildren. If you think about that, it's going to take generations to pay for this debt, I think. It won't just, it won't be something that we will cover in my lifetime, never mind your lifetime. It will take, we're talking so much money. And, they're getting it. It will take many generations, I think, to be able to pay it off. And I don't want that to be a negative necessarily, it's just a reality. Joan Rivers said the one thing women don't want to find in their stockings on Christmas morning is their husband. And how about this one? Many banks have a new kind of Christmas club in operation. The new club helps you save money to pay for last year's gifts. The trick, I learned this trick some years ago. The trick is to come out of Christmas with a zero balance on your credit card. That if you can do that, then you have planned well. How about this? Sean Hughes said, be careful with drinking this Christmas. I got so drunk last night, I found myself dancing in a cheesy bar, or as I like to call it, delicatessen. How about this? There is nothing sadder in this world than to awake Christmas morning and not be a child. How many of you know that really that is the joy of Christmas, right? Is to have that childlike glee in opening presents. That's why I don't mind what's in the box. Just let me open something. You know, it's very important. Wendy Cope said, Christmas is here again. Let us raise a loving cup. Peace on earth, goodwill to men, and make them do the washing up. And this one, Christmas is the season when you buy this year's gifts with next year's money. And as I said, you will know if you've done well, if you can get through Christmas with a zero balance on your credit card. That's if you're lucky enough to still have a credit card. And how about this one? Christmas sweaters are only acceptable as a cry for help. Any of you still wear Christmas sweaters for Christmas Day? How many of you had Christmas PJs? A good holiday is one spent amongst people whose notions of time are vaguer than yours. You know, I think that it's, how many of you are planning to just take a quiet, relaxing day on Christmas this year? Oh, interesting. Sandy said every year we get Christmas PJs. Yeah, Pia's saying, remembering that she's in Australia, that it's too hot over here. Remember, it's 2010, it was 49 degrees. Hang on a second, let me find out what that is in American, because, they don't talk Celsius here. That would be, wow, 120 Fahrenheit. That's pretty hot. I've been out in over 40, but I don't think I've ever been at 49. Wow, that's quite something, isn't it? I have very fond memories, funny enough, of spending Christmas in Africa. Lying on my pool chair, eating my Christmas pudding. Isn't that funny? I can remember always every Christmas, and I was there for 17 years, imagining you poor guys in the snow while I was sitting there sunbathing, and it didn't feel quite the same, but it still was pretty good, I'm going to tell you. Fred Rogers said, I like to compare the holiday season with the way a child listens to their favorite story. And the pleasure is in the familiar way the story begins, the anticipation of familiar turns that it takes, and the familiar moments of suspense, and the familiar climax and ending. Yes, there is something very reassuring about the traditions of a family Christmas. Now, for those of you who are married, do any of you have any horror stories about getting married and then finding that your parents did not want to share Christmas with your in-laws? Or, with your, I can remember my mother was really quite something. And I remember, after being married for a couple of years, my brother saying he was going to be spending Christmas with his in-laws, and my mother had a hissy fit and said, I'd like to remind you, I am your mother and you will spend Christmas with me. And I just said to her, how selfish is that? Don't you think that her parents have the same feeling? And, you know, my mom's attitude was, well, then let him come here and she can go to her parents. And I went, wow, spirit of Christmas not well in her house. Yes, pudding in England is dessert. A good point. Jody is saying, I'm confused about Christmas pudding, figgy pudding, and if pudding, in fact, means dessert in general. Yes, in England, pudding is dessert. I'm going to have some pudding after my meal. So all puddings, there are different sorts of puddings. You can have treacle pudding, you can have spotty dick pudding, you can have Christmas pudding. Yes, very good point, Jody. Thank you for mentioning that. The Brits love their desserts. And please don't forget that pets, like their owners, tend to expand a little over the Christmas period. So remember to get out and walk them. Will Ferrell said that Elf has become this big holiday movie. And I remember running around the streets of New York in tights saying, this could be the last movie I ever make. And I could never have predicted that it would become such a popular film. Isn't that true? And, you know, I'd like to remind us all of that. That sometimes the most difficult times that we go through turn out to be the most memorable. All right. So, you know, even while Will Ferrell was making that movie, thinking, oh gosh, I'll never get another gig after this one, you know, running around New York in my tights. He had no idea it was going to become a mega Christmas movie. And how wonderful. I always think back to Star Wars and who played it's not Laurence Olivier. Who was it that was played the father, not Darth Vader, but the anyway, Alec Guinness, I think. Alec Guinness said that when he read the script for Star Wars, he knew that would be a mega life-changing movie. You know, it was so ahead of its time and there was so much incredible stuff in it. And what he did was he said, you don't have to pay me, just let me have X% of the royalties. A decision he has never regretted, I might add. You know? Let me find out. Let me find out. So what was he worth? Because that was an incredible, at the time, not many actors did that. His net worth from Star Wars alone, let me find out. Wow. This brilliant maneuver put Sir Alec's bank account with more than $95 million. That decision, you don't have to pay me. And I don't know if it says here what percentage he asked for. But, you know, incredible, right? He could have ended up with nothing if it had been a bomb. But he was so convinced it would be an iconic movie that he said just, you know, and he knew that there were going to be, you know, toys made and all, you know, all the kids are going to love it and lightsabers and things. And he just said, no, I will just take royalties on it. And made 95 million. That's smart, people. Yeah, I would, you know, at the time, Jody, it was a very bold and very intelligent decision because I don't think many actors had done that up until that time, where they read a script and thought, that this has the chance of being a mega movie. I can take $2 million to play the part, or I can take royalties. And, you know, I think in those days, probably getting 2 million to play the part would have been a lot of money. And he made 95 million out of it. I think it's just an amazing reality that some people thought that far ahead. And now, of course, it's much more common. And so I say to Will Ferrell, good for you. And let's find out how much has he made. See what he's made from Elf. 222.9 million for that movie that he thought he'd never get a gig again. Guess what? He doesn't need to get a gig again. Wow, isn't that amazing? Yeah, exactly. So again, you never know, right? You never know what this year will teach you. You never know the friends you will make in the coming year because of the year you've lived this year. Jody's saying he can afford really good toilet paper. Yeah, I think so. Can you imagine the interest on 229 million? You know. So, you know, this is the whole thing when you look at it and go, I wonder how many people thought Sir Alec Guinness was insane to ask for royalties on Star Wars. I think he said, pay me a buck, but give me royalties. And, you know, he asked for a fair cut of the royalties. I think it was 10% or something. Let me see if it says here. Let me see if I can find that, because it is an interesting fact. Let me just find that out. Yeah, it says here, thanks to the re-release of Star Wars in the 90s, Alec Guinness and his estate have earned more than 95 million from Star Wars. Guinness died in 2000, but because of his epic Star Wars deal, his estate has continued to earn millions through royalty checks, licensing, and merchandising. And he said here, 2% of all gross royalties. 2% is what he asked for. Can you imagine, you know, that they said, sure, you know, we don't have to pay you anything. We'll give you 2% on the royalties. Why? Because that means that if they didn't make money, they didn't have to pay him. All right? Think about that. And George Lucas must have said, only a pleasure. And, you know, if you think about it, that Star Wars would eventually gross more than $750 million worldwide. You know, it's not a bad call at all. Yeah, I didn't know he'd passed either. So that's something we found out today. Next to a circus, there is nothing that packs up and tears out faster than the Christmas spirit. And I think, you know, it's really important for us to go, let's be extra thoughtful this Christmas. There are going to be a lot of people hurting this Christmas in more ways than one. More ways than one. I was saying to Marnie that one of the things that a lot of people won't realize, that those of us who are tactile, I'm a touchy-feely sort of person, as I think you know. And so for me to not have been able to hug anybody for 9 months, not to be able to touch people, not to be able to, you know, do the things I would normally do has been horrific. and a really difficult time for me. But if it keeps me alive, I understand and I'm happy to do it. And that's why I had to think very carefully about who am I going to make the one person I'm allowed to hug. And it was pretty obvious probably that I would pick Yvonne. But Yvonne I don't see very much, just by virtue of her life. And I thought I would be a lot safer picking Betty Ann, who is also retired and lives next door to me, not knowing that I would end up with a house fire and displaced anyway. But I make a point of going to visit her just so that I can give a hug, because that's so much of who I am. And how about this one? How many of you get a chuckle out of this? Oh, for the good old days when people would stop Christmas shopping when they ran out of money. How many of you are really good about setting a budget and keeping to it? All right. I always buy far too much stuff for the baking, far too much. I probably will have enough for 3 Christmases by the time I finish. But I'll enjoy it. Andrew Rooney said, one of the most glorious messes in the world is the mess created in the living room on Christmas Day. Please don't clean it up too quickly. Isn't that true? Wow. Kes just Googled the Elf movie, and it is said to be the 6th highest grossing Christmas movie. And, because of that, he not only gets the income from it now, but probably his estate will have it, his children and his children's children. And one of the questions that I think in this YouTube world is that I wonder how many, very popular YouTubers, what they're doing in their estates to guarantee that after they've passed, that the income from their years of work on YouTube will go to charities or their families or whatever. It's something they have to think about, because intellectual property, it has a very good value in the long term. And so, like Sir Alec Guinness, that little move about, listen, I'll just take 2% of the royalties, people. If it doesn't make money, I lose out, but I think it will. And so, I'm certain George Lucas went, yay, because in those days, Alec Guinness was a very high paid actor, very highly paid actor, one of the top ones. And so the same way as, Will Ferrell saying, oh, well, I never will work again after this movie. And now it's probably the best movie he ever made in terms of income. Great. I love those stories, don't you? The 3 wise men, wonderful wise men who brought the gifts to the babe in the manger, they invented the art of giving Christmas presents. Mind you, they were it was quite a cross-section of presents, right? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Yeah, that's so you think about it, they were very different sorts of things. Oops, hold on 1 second. Just hold on one, everybody. I just need to send a note here. Okay, that is the call I've been waiting for from my friend. So I will find out soon exactly what's been happening. All right, so think about this Christmas. It's not any different for you. It's going to be different for everybody you know. And I urge us all to make it as happy as we possibly can. I was talking to another friend of mine this week, and he told me he's already lost 3 friends due to COVID. 3. And so be aware that, it is, we are so blessed to be alive, and we are so blessed to have things to complain about, because so many people don't. So many people did not make it through this year. And I would say, for all of us who have faith, let us continue to give thanks and to remember, what we believe in and why we believe it. And also to just go, it's a pretty easy time, regardless of what is going on. And I just think how fortunate I am every day when I wake up. I've got to say that I am just so grateful for all that I have, and that I have you guys to support me in this time as well. So please, big hugs to you all. And please remember to keep very honest about how you're feeling. And Kimmy, I hope that, you'll be over the worst of the shingles pretty soon, and know that it was still a good decision to make. And to all of you, remember that we will be doing a broadcast on Sunday, and then next week we won't be doing the Friday broadcasts until the Saturday. We'll do the 2 broadcasts, but we'll do them on Saturday, not on Christmas Day. So I send you all big hugs, and keep your fun stories about Christmas with you, and let's share them together. And, if you've had any disasters or anything, let's make them memories rather than the end of, it's not a major thing. This will be a year that you will be talking about for the rest of your life, and your children will probably be talking about it as well. The Christmas of 2020. Let us make it memorable in the best possible way. This is DearMamaSal saying, thank you for being here. Love you dearly. Look after yourself. Stay safe. Please wear your mask. Please stay socially distanced, regardless of whether you've had the vaccine or not, and wash your hands very regularly. Bye-bye for now.